It was one of those perfect, sunny days, the kind that feels like it was made just for adventures. And for Biscuit, our fluffy ginger cockapoo, adventure had just appeared in the form of a glorious, perfectly swirled ice cream cone. There it was, sitting majestically on a picnic table, practically glowing in the sunlight. Biscuit's big, brown eyes widened, and his tail started wagging so fast it was just a happy blur. In that moment, he knew his purpose. It was his sworn duty, his solemn mission, to guard this magnificent frozen treat. He sat down, puffed out his chest, and assumed his most serious, responsible guard dog pose. This, he thought, would be easy. Oh, how wrong he was. Staying still, it turns out, is a lot harder than it looks, especially when the world is just bursting with interesting things. The first test of his resolve came fluttering by on delicate wings. A beautiful monarch butterfly, dancing in the warm air, drifted right past his nose. All thoughts of ice cream vanished. He was no longer a guard dog. He was a mighty hunter. With a joyful yip, he leaped into the air, paws flailing, trying to catch the colorful intruder. He pounced left, he bounded right, completely forgetting his very important job until the butterfly floated away over the trees. Shaking his head as if to clear it, he remembered the cone and trotted back to his post. A little embarrassed, but still determined, he sat back down, recommitted to his task. Okay, Biscuit, he seemed to tell himself, focus. The sweet scent of vanilla and waffle cone filled the air, a delicious reminder of his responsibility. But the park had other plans for him. Suddenly, a flash of gray and a bushy tail zipped past him. A squirrel. This wasn't just a distraction, this was a challenge. The squirrel chattered cheekily from a nearby branch, and Biscuit couldn't resist. He let out a series of excited barks, spinning in tight circles, his paws thumping on the grass. He was a whirlwind of fluff and excitement, his barks echoing through the park. The squirrel, having won this round, flicked its tail and disappeared up the tree trunk. Once again, Biscuit was left alone, panting and dizzy, the ice cream cone still sitting there. Now looking a little melty, he returned to his spot, trying to ignore the siren call of the park. But the world just wouldn't cooperate. A single autumn leaf decided to spiral down from a tree, dancing and twirling right in front of him. He had to chase it. Then a bright red ball bounced into his path, and of course, he had to give it a good sniff and a playful nudge. A chirping bird landed nearby, and he had to tilt his head and wonder what it was saying. Each time, he'd snap back to reality, remembering his precious, slowly melting charge. He'd rush back, sit down, and promise himself, this time, I'll be good. This time, I will guard the ice cream. But his cockapoo curiosity was just too strong. The sun was warm, and the ice cream was beginning to drip, creating a tiny, sweet puddle on the table. Biscuit could see it, he could smell it, and his resolve was weakening. He decided he needed to get a closer look, just to make sure it was okay. He crept forward, his nose twitching. He leaned in, closer, closer, his eyes fixed on the creamy peak. He wanted to get a really good sniff, to inhale its glorious vanilla essence. He leaned just a tiny bit too far, and splat. The entire scoop of ice cream slipped right off the cone and landed squarely on his nose. For a second, there was stunned silence. Biscuit froze. His eyes crossed as he tried to figure out what this cold, sticky thing on his face was. Then, the chaos began. He shook his head violently, sending little flecks of vanilla flying everywhere. He let out a mighty sneeze, a sort of PFFFT sound that was muffled by the ice cream. The sudden, slippery mess under his paws made him lose his footing, and he slid a little on the table, his legs splaying out in a comical fashion. The sight was just too much for everyone watching. A ripple of giggles turned into a wave of full-blown laughter. Here was this very serious guard dog, now wearing a melting hat of vanilla ice cream, looking utterly bewildered. The more he struggled, the funnier it got. He tried to lick it off, but his tongue just spread the stickiness from his nose to his cheeks, over his eyebrows, and down his chin. But Biscuit was not one to be defeated, especially not by his own prize. Undeterred by the laughter, he settled down and began the cleanup operation. He sniffed the mess on the table, his tail starting a slow, happy wag. Then he started licking. He licked his nose. He licked his paws. He licked the table. He wiggled with pure delight, every inch of his being focused on enjoying this unexpected treat. He was covered in ice cream from the tip of his nose to the fluff on his paws. But he was the happiest dog in the entire park. He even seemed to be giggling along with his friends, a series of happy snorts and wags. By the end of it all, he was a sticky, happy mess. Biscuit had failed spectacularly at being a guard dog. But in doing so, he reminded us all that sometimes the best adventures and the biggest laughs happen when our best laid plans go delightfully, hilariously wrong. He proved that even when you're trying your best to be responsible, a little bit of playful chaos can lead to the sweetest rewards. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and enjoying Biscuit's sticky adventure. If you love this story, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another one of our funny tales.